We have someone special here with us today, special to me for sure. Wouldn't be here without him. I have my guy Larry. And Larry, I'm just going to let you introduce yourself, to the people so they can get familiar, because this is the first of many. So this will not be the last time you're with us. And I'm excited about this. So, yeah, take it away, Larry.
Okay, yeah. So my name is Larry Mabry. I'm a life coach, and for those people who don't know, basically it's a person that kind of helps support people on their, I would say, their journey in terms of getting to know a little bit more about themselves emotionally, psychologically, financially, things of that nature. So that's kind of my job here.
Okay, well, perfect. Well, I know you say you're a life coach, but you definitely are a licensed therapist. So, anybody out there that has any questions, and we actually do have a bunch of questions that people submitted. So, yeah, let's get into that a little bit, and we're going to ask you some questions, but this is expected to be conversational. So, anything you're thinking, throw it out there. But again, this is the first of many. So if you guys like this, be sure to comment on either YouTube or Facebook or anywhere our social media is, and just let us know some of your thoughts. But yeah, without further ado, go ahead, Drew.
I have a brand centered around health and wellness, so naturally I'm always talking about growth with my customers. My question for today is, what does growth mean to you?
I understand the question was, what does growth mean to me? And that's a really, really good question. So growth has, to me, many different levels or layers. Personally, I would say my focus with my clients is to get them to kind of grow emotionally, whatever that means. And so a lot of times we may have some traumas or certain types of triggers within our lives that we may have had when we were younger. And as we get older, excuse me, we realize that we kind of hit a wall, we kind of bump up against certain situations, and a lot of times it's due to some emotional traumas that we may not have dealt with. So my goal is to try to help my clients kind of help look within that emotional area, grow within that area, and typically once they handle that, everything around them tends to kind of work itself out.
Perfect. I actually think that's a great segue, Drew, into the question that you had mentioned when it comes to certain traumas or certain things from childhood. So Drew, if you don't mind, man, go ahead.
For sure. So my girlfriend and I both have separated parents. Mine when I was 4 years old, and hers when she was 2. So I was going to ask you, parents divorcing while at a young child's age, what effect do you think it has on a person's mental health in their 20s and 30s?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, basically, a lot of what we grow with is from our parents. That's like our first sign in terms of what we learn in terms of, how to get along. We learn those adult relationships. We kind of learn how to deal with things emotionally, coping mechanisms and things of that nature. So if we grow up and we have that mate or that parent that's not there, then typically if we don't have any other support systems, we tend to grow with certain types of issues, and we just need assistance with that. So it doesn't mean that someone's bad or that they are not worthy or anything of that nature. It's just one of those things that we may be missing certain things, and we just need support with that within ourselves, if that makes sense.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah. Does that answer your question?
It does, yeah, it does.
Okay.
We were just talking about it earlier. I was trying to think of a good question, and that one just kind of hit me right at the end today. So I'm glad I got it in time.
Yeah, no problem. And a lot of times, we struggle with a lot of things that we see outside of ourselves. By that I mean, we may look at certain types of commercials, or we may look at what we call the Joneses or our neighbors, and we kind of try to idolize them and live life according to their standards, but that might not be truly what we need for ourselves. And so my goal is with my clients is to kind of get them to see who they are. And sometimes we may go through life with masks on,
right?
because of certain traumas. We try to put on certain airs, to make ourselves feel good, but actually it ends up in the long run kind of hurting us.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've noticed a impact for sure in how I want to go about raising my children, and her and I kind of made the same values on that. So yeah. Definitely answer my question. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Well,
really good question.
Thank you, Drew, for being willing to ask that great question. I guess, Larry, my question to you is, why should a person utilize a therapist or a life coach over, venting to best friends, or those that say, oh, I don't need a therapist because I have my, friends I could talk to?
Good question. Really good question. A lot of times your friends, although they may mean well, they may not have an objective approach. That's one thing. The second thing is your friends typically could have traumas as well, so they may not be very well versed as far as assisting you with what you need. And I would say a coach or a therapist could be beneficial because it would be a unbiased approach, as well as sometimes with your friends, you may not feel comfortable with certain things, right? Even though they're your friends, right? With a third party or a person that you're not really emotionally connected to in the beginning, and you can kind of build a different rapport. It allows you to kind of relax and really deal with certain things that you may not feel comfortable with your friend, if that makes sense.
It does make sense, and I think the biggest reason I tell people to utilize therapists, like you said, legally a therapist can't go and tell some of the stuff that you talk about, and like it stays there. And like you said, sometimes you fall out with a friend, they now have stuff depending on how they are that they can use against you. So
That's true.
again, I think that's the freeing thing when you talk to a therapist, is like you're talking to a person and you can talk about real stuff. You can talk about childhood traumas. You can talk about, stuff you wouldn't be comfortable, or stuff you pushed down so far because the pain hurts so bad, with this person, when you feel comfortable enough that ultimately can't be used against you. And I think that you can't compare that to anything. Like it's huge.
Yes. And also I think there's a stigma in certain communities with the word therapist. And so I've noticed just in my community, I like to use the word life coach. Because a lot of times certain terminology that we use can trigger people, right? And so I like to just tell my clients, hey, we're just two people having a conversation, right? So it just kind of puts people at ease, and just like you would talk to your friend, we're just having a conversation, real simple.
No, and I can attest to that. I can confirm that is how you approach it. Actually, what made me know that you were the therapist for me is I Googled actually black therapists near me, and you were one of the people I reached out to, but I had some other therapists that never responded. You emailed me back quickly, but not only that, you followed up with a phone call and you said, hey, I just wanted to talk to you, kind of get a feel for, what were you looking for? So we just talked, and I felt like I was talking to a friend. So it just made me feel a lot better, and it made me feel like I could trust you. And, from there, I mean, I don't know where I would be right now without you. So I just wanted to thank you, man. And like I tell you, you are very important to my growth. So I can't thank you enough.
Well, I appreciate that, Brandon, and just to be 100, I've been in those situations, and so I know when people are reaching out. How I look at it is, typically when people are reaching out, it's like the last ditch effort, and they really need assistance. And so for me, I try to put it on my heart to try to reach out as quickly as I can. I'm not always there because I might be in a session or dealing with some other issues or whatever, but I try to reach out as quickly as possible. To make sure I can kind of meet the person where they're at and support them and kind of see what I could do to help them. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. So Drew, I know we have some more questions, so let's kind of rattle off some of those.
Sounds good. Let me play it for you.
What are some healthy tips to create boundaries with the people you care about? I recently gotten firm in saying no, but I still find myself trying to go the extra mile and help in any way that I can, even if it puts me in an uncomfortable position.
That's a really, really good question. In fact, I think this answer is going to probably be very powerful for some people. So, yeah, it's very important to put boundaries, because I feel like sometimes family members, loved ones, and kind of the way we grew up in our family, we cross boundaries all the time, and sometimes we think it's normal, right? Because maybe you grew up in a situation where your parent may have thought it was okay because you're in their house to just come in your room, right? And so, right, hey, it's my house, boom, I'm in there, right? And so, although parents mean well, like I said earlier, if parents don't really teach the child, okay, yes, this is your space, but yes, I own the house, but yes, I'm still going to respect you in your space, to kind of teach you as a child how to delineate the boundaries within your relationships. The whole situation growing up could be totally different, right? That's what I was saying earlier about the trauma, right? If parents grow up with certain traumas, they're doing what they were taught, right? So maybe they grew up with mom and dad just bum rush the room, right? Whenever, right? And granted, when you're a child, okay, that's great. But as you're getting older, more mature, there should be certain boundaries and certain limits and certain things taught. And so you kind of know how to do that in your relationships, right? And a lot of time, to kind of answer the young lady's questions, a lot of times we cross boundaries because we actually end up giving our power away to that person, because we feel like by giving our power away to that person, they earn our love, if that makes sense. And that actually is a trauma that we need to work through, because typically once we understand that the love starts with ourselves, and then from that we actually give the love out. But if we grow up in a situation where we're always basically pushed with our boundaries, then we kind of get what I call a distorted view of that. And typically as we get mature and we get in relationships, that's when we realize, wait a minute, I gotta set these boundaries, right? And as we take our power back, those individuals typically won't like it, but that's okay, because we got to value ourselves more than that person. And it's a gradual process. A lot of times we have to forgive ourselves. We have to kind of understand where the root of the problem was. Typically we have to forgive our parent, one parent or two parents. There may be certain traumas that we had with certain relationships that we had, inappropriate relationships and things of that nature, that we have to forgive ourselves through that. And so there's a process with it. But as we forgive those things within ourselves, then typically we kind of get the energy back and the strength back to be able to establish those boundaries.
Man, I had an idea for how I thought this was going to go, but it's been even better than I imagined.
Okay.
I just want to say, like, when you talk about loving yourself, what's crazy is everybody's like, man, Brandon, you're really inspiring us with, talking about your health issues and, being so vulnerable. But I think the most powerful thing that's happened to me over the past, I don't know, six months or so is, working with you telling me the importance of loving yourself, and like how, great things happen when you put yourself first and, you invest in yourself. So it's like everybody's like, oh, I do love myself. But when you really take a step back and working with you as a life coach, I just learned there was moments where I felt more proud of myself when I had big accomplishments. So like I bought a house and I'm like, man, I'm so proud of myself, right? Or when you're a bigger person, like you feel better about yourself when you lose weight, right? But it's like, those are the times where it's easy to love yourself or to be proud of yourself. Like, how do you feel, when you've done something that's considered disappointing, or, when you do pick up that weight, male or female? It's like, we tend to get down on ourselves. But it's like, nah, man, unconditional love with yourself is how you allow yourself to, love other people around you unconditionally. So I'm not trying to be fake deep here, but I feel like it took until I was 30 years old to understand what unconditional love meant, not just for myself, but other people around you. So if you're in a relationship, things are going good, you're being sweet to your significant other, but when y'all argue, how do you treat that person, right? It's, again, unconditional love. If they say something you don't agree with, do you still love them, or is it like, I'm going to be, mean towards you until you, come towards my way, or you start to say things similar to my thinking process? And it's like, that's not unconditional love. So sorry to ramble there, but when you said that, it hit me, because that was one of the biggest lessons I've learned over the past 6 months.
Yeah, well, thank you, and I think I appreciate you sharing that, because I want to clarify that. So when I say love yourself, I'm not saying from an egoic perspective, right? So like you keep all the dimes, or you keep all the money, or you keep the world in your particular layer. I'm not talking about like that. I'm saying love yourself in terms of like being a little bit more compassionate with yourself, taking time, because a lot of times, we may roll around and run around to take care of stuff for other people. And then at the end of the day, we're exhausted because we haven't done certain things for ourselves. And so I'm just saying, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes every day, make sure that you acknowledge what you've gone through. Make sure that you take some time to just have gratitude to yourself. Make sure that you stop, as they say, stop and smell the roses, right? And as you do that more often, what happens is you have enough energy and love within yourself, so you can offer it to your mate, so you can offer it to your job. And eventually, as you do this consistently, you'll naturally start to build up those boundaries, as a young lady asked for as well. Because as you get to know yourself more on an emotional level, then what happens is you start to see the value within yourself, and then you start to say, you know what, certain people in my life, I need to kind of draw the line, because where I'm at right now, they're not conducive for my growth. And because I value and love myself enough, I can't really participate in that relationship.
Yeah,
I can see all
the
you
podcast.
guys.
Yeah, the podcast gods are trying their best, whether it's Gerard's car issues
Yeah.
or camera technical difficulties. But the beautiful thing is, as you start to love yourself, as you start to pour into yourself, like you just realize you should not get annoyed about stuff like this, and you just gotta play the cards as dealt. So we still gonna keep it rolling.
Yeah.
Drew, if you don't mind, you could play some of the next question or the
Yep.
next question. We just keep churning them out.
So Justin informed me it's a little similar to what you just asked, but I'm still going to play it because it could be a different answer. You never know.
Okay.
So my question is, how do you describe kind of the difference between somebody going to therapy versus, just talking to a friend? What would be the purpose of seeing a therapist if I don't have to pay, $100 a session and I can simply just talk to my friends? What would be that big difference in what makes therapy unique?
So yeah, a little different.
Yeah, that's a good question, though. I would say the biggest difference is the accountability. I would say that, as a professional, I want to make sure that I do what I can for my clients. And I'm not sure if a friend, depending on where they are on their journey as a person, if they're going to hold you accountable, right? It depends on where they are in their professional as well as their emotional intelligence. Also, too, as far as the money, I would say it's an investment in self. It's just like, we buy cars, we buy clothes, we buy things we like, but a lot of times, especially as men, we don't really value emotional well-being, but not realizing that if we take care of our emotional well-being, everything else will be handled, right? And it's one thing I think for me that really changed my whole perspective just as a man. Like growing up, I used to think that it was all about, the girl or the car or the biggest this, the biggest that, the fastest this. And I'm sure there's a lot of listeners who can relate to this. And as I got older and I got more mature, I realized that it's very, very important to make sure you take care of your emotional well-being, your mental well-being, because everything comes from your mind. And if your mind is not stable and not balanced, then how can you create a reality outside of yourself if from within yourself you're off kilter? Right? And I guess it's just like if you're trying to, and I'm just giving an analogy, if you're a gymnast and you're standing on the ground that's not stable, how successful do you think you're going to be when you finish your flip?
I like
Right?
that. I like that.
I mean, you're starting off unstable. Where do you
Right.
think you're going to end up as you run and start doing your flip?
It ain't gonna
Right?
be right.
It's not. Right. So you can't get mad when you pummel, when you hurt your wrist or you hurt your arm, or, because the first step is off. Right. And so for me, taking care of yourself emotionally or mentally is allowing you to basically kind of tend to your own mental garden and make sure that you're precise as far as your thoughts, as far as your relationships, as far as your goals, as far as your emotional well-being. And no matter who's around you, you always have your emotions. So it's important to make sure that you take care of that. It's no one else's responsibility but yourself. And so it's important to make sure that you assist that and take care of that as much as possible. So to kind of answer that question, I think that there are good friends out there who can help you. However, I think that a life coach can give you strategies. They can hold you accountable. They can allow you access to certain things that you may not have thought about. They can help you expand your thinking, because a lot of times your friends, sometimes they can be limited. They can limit you as far as their thought processes. Whereas I think a therapist or a life coach can help you expand your mind, which can allow you to think better or think clearer, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. I'm actually sitting here getting a little jealous because I'm like, man, Larry is my therapist. Now I feel like the whole world's going to love you and you won't have any time for me. But all jokes aside, I just wanted to add a few things. One being, that was a great question by your friend Justin, but mainly because of the money aspect. I'm sure there's people listening that's like, well, I can't afford, to go to therapy. But I just want to let you guys know I got into contact with Larry because I myself felt like I couldn't afford therapy, despite going to therapy in the past and going for years. But some people made me aware when I posted on social media that there was a thing called sliding pay scale. So what that is, if your therapist will accept that as you guys work out, okay, I can't pay this amount, but, here's what I can pay. And you guys basically negotiate like that. And you don't have to involve, health care or, your health insurance. So just want to let everybody out there know, again, when I searched on Google, I forgot to include that I put black therapist near me that accepts sliding pay scale. And it brought up a list of, people that were willing to work with you if you didn't, want to go through your health insurance. So just wanted to let everybody know. And again, I know I keep emphasizing black, but that's because in the past I did have a therapist that was white and she was a lady. She helped me significantly. I worked with her for probably 6 years, but there's just certain things where, she couldn't relate to, sometimes there's walking into a building and I'm a man of a decent size, I strike some people as intimidating. Although anybody that knows me, I'm a teddy bear. But again, having to, explain certain things like, when I reached out to Larry, there was a time where every time you turn on the news, there's another black man being killed by the police. And eventually when you are black, you start to see that. And you can't explain it. Like you feel hopeless, you feel all of these emotions. And I had to explain one time in therapy to my previous therapist why it hurt so bad to see black men I would never meet, I never knew, being killed and worrying, okay, if I go out and drive, all it takes is for one police officer to have a bad day, despite the fact that, again, I'm a teddy bear, but I could look intimidating. He could be having a bad day and things escalate, or he say he feared for his life, and boom, I could be on, the television. So I just wanted to add that it's not a race thing, but again, a big part of having a therapist is being able to find somebody that you can connect with. So, if you're a woman that wants to work with a woman, in therapy, Google that. If you're a man that wants to work with a woman, or, a man that prefers to work with another man, Google that. It's literally Google everything else. So like Larry said, you are an investment. So my friend Derez always says you either pay for it now or you pay for it later, whether it's health, mental health, whatever. So you don't have to be considered crazy if you want to work with a therapist. It's a stigma, but again, my life has improved tremendously. You find yourself not holding on to as much baggage. Larry, you've told me about the importance of letting things go when it comes to healing. So again, there's so many positives and very few negatives. I hope, again, to be able to reach somebody and you hear this and you're like, you know what, I'm going to try it. Or you've been debating, you're on the fence. It's time to get off that fence. There's always going to be, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that. No, just do it right now. I sound like that commercial. I forget what that commercial is, but like, you're on your couch anyway, just get out and make it happen. So long-winded, but there's another part that I wanted to add about something you said, and I cannot remember it. So it was sliding pay scale and something else.
Yeah, if I could just add to the sliding pay scale and just to kind of let people know. So basically what that is like Brandon said, just kind of work something out. My goal, especially with people when they say, oh, it's the money, is to not have that become an issue, right? Because I feel like if you're investing in yourself, it's going to far exceed what's going to happen in your life if you do the work. And so to try to help people get over that stigma, because sometimes people say, oh, I don't want to do that, or I may not have the money. I'm like, trust me, if you do it a few weeks and you see the benefit of it, then the money will show up.
No, that's very true. Drew, do we have any other questions?
Yeah, so Justin had a question. I'm going to ask it for him. He said, can you give a good example of both a good and bad portrayal of therapy in media or movies?
You saying in media and movies?
Media, parentheses, movies. Yeah.
I wouldn't so much say bad, but what I would say is I wouldn't recommend it, if that makes sense. So I think if someone is, and I'm just going to kind of, with my particular style, is I look at it like we're humans or spiritual beings having a human experience, first of all. And second of all, I feel like my goal is to try to get the individuals to kind of notice it for themselves. And so for me, my objective is not to tell people what to do, if that makes sense, right? And so what I wouldn't recommend is telling people what to do. I would encourage them to do it, and I would kind of let them kind of viscerally understand it for themselves for two reasons. One, I don't want people to feel like I'm in charge of them, because at the end of the day, we're all, I would say, sovereign beings, right? Some of us may know more about other things, but we come together and we kind of work together, if that makes sense. Secondly, I feel as though at the end of the day, if you empower yourself, then eventually you won't need me. And that's my goal. My goal is not to get a constant check from anybody. My goal is to help you become the best man or woman you could be, or couple, because I work with couples too. So giving you some strategies and kind of assisting you with that. And so if somebody's coming in and they're telling people what to do, then what happens is now it becomes a codependent relationship, and that's, to me, counterproductive to help you become the best person you could be, if that answers your question.
I got a quick one for you, a funny one.
Sure.
Who's better, Robin Williams and Good Will Hunting, or Denzel and Antoine Fisher?
Ooh.
Wow.
That's a good one.
Antoine Fisher's a great one for me.
Drew, that's
Yes, that's a good one. Yeah, I would say Denzel for sure on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
But why? Larry? I'm gonna put you on the spot. Why?
Okay.
Okay, no worries. So, well, because I would say that his style was more in alignment with kind of what I just shared. You know, would you agree or disagree?
I'd agree. What I'm really trying to think of is Robin Williams in that movie, but
and it's a tough call because he
Robin
was good
Williams,
too.
yeah, he kind of didn't really answer Matt Damon's questions. He really questioned him, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Denzel, I feel like, became like a father figure almost to Antoine.
Yeah, but he kind of let him kind of experience some things, which I think allowed him to really respect the relationship.
Yeah. When Derek Luke, can I just add, when he went and found the lady that took care of him when he was younger, and he's telling her that he was still straight and he was still strong.
I'm still strong.
Man, that's good. That's good movie. That's a great movie moment right there. So I just had to point that out. Man.
Yeah, it's a nice connection.
Yes, it is. But Larry, we only have a little time left, so I want to give you the opportunity. Okay. I know you're going to be working on some things, some courses. So I want to give you a chance to plug, any way that people can get in contact with you. And yeah, just take it away. Where can they find you? Okay. Where can they look you up?
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, I appreciate that. So yeah, I'm on Psychology Today. You can put me in Larry Mabry, Mabry. With a fun fact for me is I started in Southfield, Michigan, and I'm actually in Washington State now. But the cool thing is I service clients via online, so I'm able to kind of service clients virtually wherever I'm at. And that was care of COVID. So COVID kind of changed a lot of things, but it actually ended up being better. So now I can service clients in Michigan as well as in Washington State, or actually anywhere in the world, actually, because I have clients in Romania as well. So it just depends. And so basically you can kind of reach out to me there. I'm trying to think. I have my email. You can send me an email. My email is the Maassen Group, the corporation I work with. It's THEMAASSENGROUP at gmail.com. Or you could send me a call. Let me see. Let me give you my number here. And that would be 248. Make sure I give you the right number. 248-859-1926. And if you just kind of call there, typically if you respond that way, if I'm in a session, then I'll usually kind of get back with you when I'm available. Or you can shoot me an email and just kind of say, hey, you heard some information here on the podcast. And I could definitely give you some sort of support with that as well.
Awesome.
Thank you, Larry. Also, I want to ask people if there are things you think would be beneficial in, say, a YouTube course or something you think would be great to utilize in that way. Feel free to let Larry know. Feel free to let us know on any social media platforms. But that is something he's going to be working on. Courses where if you may not be able to attend a session per se, you could reach out to him in that way, or you could look on YouTube at a later time and he'll be able to help you. So yeah, just wanted to point that out. Also, Larry, I forgot. Oh my goodness, I keep forgetting. I wanted to ask you, and I'm gonna put you on the spot.
All right.
Larry, no pressure.
No
If you
worries.
had to name your Mount Rushmore of hip hop or music in any choice, yep, it's coming.
I was going to ask if you were going to
Yes,
ask him or
sir.
not.
Come
but I'm
on,
glad
talk
you
to
did.
me, Drew. If you had to name your Mount Rushmore, because, at the end of the day, we talk about mental health, we talk about stolen DoorDash orders, but we also, our bread and butter is talking about hip-hop, right? So, Larry, you only get 4. There ain't we done have people say, oh, can I get an extra spot? You only get 4.
Okay.
Who is
4
on your
people.
Who is on your Mount Rushmore? And I'm going to give you, I'm going to give you a little leeway. It don't have to be hip-hop, but if you stick to hip-hop, that's cool. It could be music, whatever you want. But who are your 4 people on that Mount Rushmore? No pressure.
It would probably be Black Thought.
Ooh, my God.
Where's Gerard? Where is Gerard?
Yeah,
Oh,
where's
my
Gerard when we
goodness.
need him, man?
Gerard's gonna love this.
I respect you already, man. Black Thought's the
Yeah.
truth.
Black Thought for sure. I would probably say Busta Rhymes. I gotta have
Okay.
Busta on there.
You are making Drew's day right now. I just want you to know. You're making Drew's day.
I'm loving this.
Busta Rhymes. Okay, and then 2 more.
Yep,
Yep.
2 more.
Okay, so man, this is tough. I have to put Eminem on there.
There you go.
I gotta
Let's
put
go.
M.
Drew,
I gotta put M.
did you give him a list? Did you reach
I
out to him
swear,
somehow?
we met
No,
today.
I-
We met today.
and I gotta get M because of just what he went through and just his skill set is just he's to
elite.
me
It's elite.
he's on a whole nother level. Okay, and then the 4th, and it's not necessarily in the order. It's just like what comes to mind. But
Right.
the fourth one, man, that's tough because there's a couple people I'm vacillating with. Okay, I gotta give this to a female,
Ooh.
and I'm gonna say Rod Digger.
There you go.
Wow.
There you go. Damn, man. You might, out of all of our interviews, you might have the best Mount Rushmore. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, really?
That's a fire Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. Rod Digger. I gotta give some females some love.
Yeah.
And she been around for a while, kicking it with Busta, and just she's nice. She's nice,
Right.
real nice.
Man.
So, yeah.
I tried to put you on the spot to make you stumble a little bit, but you just like everything else, man. You're cool as a fan. I can't get you. Hey, John, well done. But in all seriousness, man, this is very important to me, and I understand after everything I've been through what my calling is. My calling is to, one, teach people that therapy is okay, specifically black men, because I think we're more hesitant to utilize that, and it's frowned upon within our community. But 2, investing. So again, with you being a life coach, you don't just talk to people, about, emotional well-being and stuff like that. You also encourage them when it comes to business. And, you had me write down my 6-month goals, my 1-year goals, my 5-year goals. And, one of the things I actually wrote down was that I wanted to eventually have an average of 100 listeners on the podcast. But when I wrote it down, I didn't believe that at all. I actually was like, man, this is stupid, whatever. Let me write down something, right? But that just shows importance again of your thought process and how you view things and being positive, right? But now we're averaging, I think, over 105 people. We've had over, I think, close to 150 unique listeners in the past 7 days. It's just really positive things blowing up. But again, this wouldn't be possible without me. You challenged me spiritually. You forced me, because before I went through my health issue, I believed in a higher power, but there were some times where I was like, man, is God really real? If certain things happen in life, like I said, black men getting killed left and right by the cops, it's like, I don't know, is God real? Why is this happening? But I know now, thanks to you, that spiritual, belief and confidence is as big as confidence within yourself. So just stuff like that. But the second thing, again, with it being investing, you are a life coach. So anybody out there that's looking for someone, not just to help you emotionally, spiritually, become, I'm a better brother, uncle, son than I think I've ever been in the past, and I owe a lot of that to you, Larry. So again, just wanted to plug you guys. Feel free to reach out to him, and if you do reach out to him, and if it's because of the podcast, please let him know, hey, I heard you on the podcast, and not just because I want all the credit, because I kind of do, but it's more important than that. If you reach out and let him know that, he'll look out for you when it comes to the pricing. So again, I want this to be the first of many.
Yeah.
And Larry, I can't thank you enough, man. This has been way better than anything I pictured, and I hope our listeners appreciate it too. But Any
Sure.
final thoughts, man, before you get out of here? Anything you want to say, put on the record, or you want to save until the next time? Because I'm going to hold you to it. You coming back.
Oh, no worries. No worries.
He'll be back.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. It is Mental Health Awareness Month for May, so it's a perfect opportunity here. You know, I'm just honored to be here. I appreciate the opportunity, and I'm thankful that, you know, we're able to connect. I'm looking forward to more success for you as well as your listeners.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. Drew, is there anything you wanted to add, say, before we wrap up?
I want to thank you. Yeah, thank you for coming on. Thank you for answering all the questions that people submitted and just like help him be, because I love him. You know, it's my brother.
Oh man,
That's what's up.
Drew, you try to get me. You try to get me cry. I ain't gonna do it. I ain't gonna do it.
We gotta bring napkins up in here, Kleenex.
Well, I love you too, Drew. And our listeners out there, man, we have a lot of love for y'all. We wouldn't be here without any of you. We never forget that. So again, reach out with any questions, whether it's to us, to Larry. If you didn't get any of his information, please let us know, and I can connect you. But yeah, this is the first of many. Larry, we appreciate you, and man, this was a lot of fun. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you so much, guys. All right, cool. You guys have a good one. Appreciate you.
You too.